All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 10X Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific, I am interviewing someone amazing. And I have someone super special, amazing today. We have Shant Banosian, the #1 mortgage advisor in the country, barely scratched across the $1 billion mark. Think about that, guys. $1 billion in loan production in a single year, and he made it by a single loan, not even a loan, like half a loan. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing awesome. Always excited to be here with you, Dave. We always have a good time on these calls. So we've done a bunch of them at this point.
I know. I appreciate you saying yes more than no, and hopefully we see each other and we share a stage out there in the real world this year.
I hope so.
By the way, do you want to do some speaking this year? I've got a couple events that I could have you at if you want to.
You know what? We did one together last year at your invitation, which was awesome. So yeah, possibly for sure.
I'll get you some dates
Yeah,
after this
yeah,
on some
yeah.
events that I would love to see you at.
Cool.
So guys, we've got a full hour. If you have questions for Sean, put those in chat. I will be monitoring chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, put questions and comments in the notes down below. But Sean, let's just start with breaking down last year. How did you do? What worked best? If there were some lesson learns, like we were doing this and we stopped doing this, let's just do a debrief on last year.
Yeah, so really, really happy about last year. As you said, we crossed over the $1 billion threshold, which is kind of like the standard in which, that was really, really a huge target of ours this year, just kind of getting back to that level. If I look back at last year, I would say the thing we did, we worked extremely hard. I was probably out there more than I've ever been. When I say out there, out in front of my partners and in front of my audience, in person, more than I've ever been in my entire career. I was at real estate offices, doing events, like every single day, sometimes multiple meetings a day. We got so into it that we even converted our office into a training center, like a portion of our office to a training center, where we started hosting events in our office like every other Friday, where we would either bring in a speaker or just come up with a topic to teach on. And so the big thing I'd say last year was all about just connecting to our partners, solidifying existing relationships, making new relationships, and mending broken relationships, right? Or just some relationships that needed to be refreshed, right? And we led with education, right? Which is, I think you and I believe that that's one of the most important things, right? So I'm big into going to offices, providing value. I tend to lead with education about the market, so I have to educate myself on it first and foremost, and I can go teach other people in terms of what's going on in the market, how to navigate it. I've said before on your podcasts, I'm sorry, these kind of talks we have, when you educate, you attract, right? So you attract the right kind of partners, you attract the right kind of clients. People are attracted to you that value you for what you bring to the table, right? And I love that. Like, I want to work with people that care about what I bring to the table, not just make it transactional, right? And then you inform people, right? And when you inform people, you motivate them into action, right? And that's really important. Why is that important? Because in a market like this, where affordability is challenged, where there's low inventory, big time demand, not a lot of supply, if you're not informed and motivated, you can get left out of the market. You end up doing nothing. Inaction happens. So my clients, I believe, convert at a higher level, and my partners, my agents know that, and my clients know that, and something we talk about because they're just more informed. And if they're informed, they're motivated. When it comes time to make really important decisions, they don't freeze and do nothing. They enter the housing market because they have all the information they need when their competition doesn't. So, we kicked off the year, as we do the last couple of years, with a huge, massive event in 2024. And we followed that up with and then we did the same thing here in 2025, having our best event ever. And then, like I said, me and my team were out in front of partners in groups, individually. We were doing serious stuff. We were doing stuff we were doing market updates. We were teaching on things they need to know in the market, and then we were doing fun stuff too. Like we were doing just connecting, right? Like people work with people they like, trust, and respect. So you kind of got to mix it up. And so I didn't keep the exact amount of meetings that we did last year, but it was like in the hundreds, right? And like, the amount of time that I put into the office, the efficiency that I worked at on a daily basis was like next level. And I was really proud of the way things ended up last year. I mean, I went all in on 2024, just like I had in 2023, by the way, and 2022, right? The thing I changed in my mindset last year was that, in 2022, like I try to psych myself up every single year a little bit differently in terms of, you know, what to do to get myself going. The difference in 2022 was like, hey, the market clearly had changed, right? And in 2023, it was really, really hard, right? Whereas 2024, I just accepted it. And those things got me fired up. Like in 2022, I was like, all right, change is good. Like I can separate myself. In 2023, I was like, all right, nobody's going to be willing to put the work that I'm going to put in. So I'm just going to like go all in and just like outwork everybody. Even if I do way less business, like I'm just going to focus on getting market share, right? And just doing all the things, get back to basics, focusing on all the things we can control, not listen to all the noise. In 2024, I was just like, you know what? This is the market now, right? Like, like so many people were waiting for rates to come down or inventory to go up, all these other things. And when those things didn't happen, you started people just kind of seeing people fall apart and lose hope. And like, I never kind of was counting on any of those things. I was like, look, if I can do $1 billion when rates are in the six, sevens, and eights, like, why do I care if it ever changes? Like, of course, like, this is great. Like, I can have a great business. If this is my recipe for success, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over again. And, ultimately, like, I 20, how I would talk about 2024, it was our third biggest production year ever, right? So not our best volume year ever, right? 2020 and 2021 take the cake there, but it was my most successful year ever because there was less homes sold, there was less inventory, and there was higher rates than any other of those previous years. And we really showed up, grabbed more market share, and had a ton of success.
So by the way, let's guys get a grip with what you just heard there and think about that. Literally, from a market share standpoint, best year yet in a very, very difficult marketplace where the majority, 95% of mortgage professionals are not experiencing that. And here the level of activity. So how many to do $1 billion in production, how many loans are we talking about? I'm going to break it down.
Almost exactly 1,600.
1,600. And what do you guess your conversion was? In order to close 1,600, how many consultations and credit reports do you think you ran? Ballpark.
Ooh, good. So I don't track. So we track leads to apps to locks. So, I mean, ultimately, we're probably at, from an application to lock standpoint, just about like, call it like 30%.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so three times that. So 4,500 leads had to come in, give or take
Like for
100.
applications. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. 4,500.
Between
You,
purchases and refis. Yep.
how many total realtors are referring you business on a given year? And how many realtors do you think you're connecting with? They know you, they like you, they trust you. What's
Yeah,
the
I
number?
know. So we have over 200 agents that send us, like we've closed just about 3 deals a year or more with, right?
Okay.
And then we have like our A team of like, our top 20 is like, superstars, right? Like they send us like all more than 10, you
Yeah,
know?
all more than 10. Okay. And I know, I sort of know the answer to this because Shant and I were just catching up last week, and I told him this Thursday I'm going to do what I'm calling the Impact 100, where I'm going to talk to 100 people in a single day. And I was kind of like pounding my chest when I was telling Shant, expect him to go like, wow, that's a lot. He's like, Dave, I do that every day. Now I still am not convinced that you talk to 100 people every day. You did not convince me of that, but I did come away from that going, no one's talking to more people in a day than Shant, and it's a whole lot of people. Any idea how many different conversations you're having a day, and not with your team, but
Yeah, yeah,
with
totally.
realtors and borrowers? What's your
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
on daily
So
talk
put
tos?
it this way, if I'm not talking to like, And obviously some days are more than others, but on average, 3 of the 5 days a week, it wouldn't take me a lot of heavy lifting to get up over 100. Like I'm probably somewhere between, on a consistent basis, like 60 to 80 almost every single day, right?
That's what I
Um,
that's what I thought. That's
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah. So like to get to 100 would just take me like an hour of like just doing some of the things I probably should do every single day that like I get away from when it gets so busy. But like the amount of activity, a lot of people like, how are you able to do so much business over the course of a very long time at this point? And it's like activities and actions, like that's it. Like it's not like, I'm definitely not the most you know uh technically proficient. Like, I don't have all this like the secret sauce to like way I get source business or like these secret products, right? Like it's just purely like I'm like from the minute I leave my house and drop my kids off to school, like the minute they're out the door, like I'm making calls. And like there's never a part of my day where I'm not utilizing every single minute of the day for texting, calling, emailing, social media. Like there's like the amount of communication that's going on is massive. So like, and there's a bunch of days I guarantee you I talk to more than 100 people. So it just depends. Like from, I would say from like February 25th through like the end of May, it's probably almost 4 to 5 days a week. Like it's a lot. So I mean, we take, think about it, like on a weekend, on a pretty consistent weekend, we take like 30 full out mortgage applications every single weekend, right? And when it goes up to the spring market, it's 40. So like that's just a Saturday and Sunday, right? So like there's a lot of conversations going on a daily basis. Not all of them are all outbound reactions, like, where we're like manually, like, some of them are inbound, obviously a lot of that too. But like I'm talking, there's a lot of communication going on all day, every day.
All right, guys. So I positioned this call. Everybody who came here, you saw Shant's name. So a lot of people are just, hey, Shant's on the call with Savage. I'm listening. But the positioning was top three strategies to win in 2025. And guys, strategy number one is it's activity. It's talk tos. How many people are you talking to? What are your goals? What are your systems? And I would strongly advocate if you're a manager listening to this, it is time to lead by example. Like you cannot control interest rates, but you can control by the way, if you're a manager, you can't totally control other people's activities, but you can control your activities. So I'm going to push people lead by example. Anybody that wants to join me this Thursday, like 2 days from now, 100 talk tos, calling it the Impact 100. I got the idea from Shayla Gifford. She actually sent me a text 2 Fridays ago. It just said, Dave, call me when you have 2 minutes. It'll be real quick. And I'm just like, okay, what's up, Shayla? Now she called it the Hammer 100. So whoever named it Hammer 100, sorry, I'm going with Impact 100. But kudos to you. I would not be doing it had it not been for whoever came up with the Hammer 100. And it was real simple. Shayla just asked me for a referral. Like Dave, this is what I'm doing. I would love a referral. Who can you think of that, I can add value to and I would be valuable to them? And I'm like, I got someone. And then that took about a minute. And then she asked me, is there anything I can do to help you? And I think 10 seconds later, I'm like, boom, boom, 3 minutes. She gave value to me. I gave value to her. Next. So I want to push everyone in this community. Uh, Go for it. Like, and if you are going to go for it, let me know in comments down below that you're gonna drive a day of 100 conversations where you ask 100 people for a referral. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
What do you think of that idea?
Shayla's a complete rock star. I'm kind of upset that I didn't make her 100 list for that day. So Shayla, if you're watching, I can't believe I didn't make your top 100 phone calls that day.
Yeah. So, well, by the way, she did not get in 100 conversations. She only had 75. She said, I can't remember what time she ended. I think she did an 8-hour day. And she said, Dave, I would plan on a 12-hour day if you want to get to the 100. So,
Can I tell you a story that made me think about this? So like, here's the deal. And when we were talking, like, I truly wasn't like, when we were talking a week ago, when we were talking about that, like, I wasn't like trying to one up you and be like, I do that every day. It's just like the
no,
fact
I
of the
didn't.
matter
You,
is like,
you didn't
yeah,
have that kind of one-up vibe.
yeah, yeah. So like, but I had a learning, like, around a lot of like top performers. When I first came here to rate, there was, I was only doing like, call it like, I think I'd done like $45 million, and I thought I was maxed out. Like I really did. And this is a very important, like pivotal moment in my life as a loan originator. I was like, I thought I was working 24 hours a day, thought I was doing everything I could, and I couldn't in my brain understand how anybody could do $100 million. And this is going back to 2000. This is 2012. How somebody could do $100 million or 200 million or 300 million at the time, because we had people doing that at the time. And like I made every excuse in the book, right? Like about they must have special pricing, they must get leads, like everything I could think of to come up with an excuse as to why they were able to do that and why I wasn't. And then I was able to be around these people, for a couple days, and I came away realizing, one, they were very much like me, and two, they weren't like smarter than me. They were just way more efficient, right? And they just worked. They were working smarter, and as a result of that, they were getting more out of their day. So they're actually working harder because they were more efficient and working smarter. I came home that weekend, and on Saturday and Sunday, I locked something like 25 loans over the weekend, right? I just started dialing, and it was like one of the biggest things that impacted my life, because then I realized, like, if you just work really, really smart and really, really hard and don't make excuses and don't do all the stuff that we get caught up, like I don't scroll social media, I don't do personal stuff during the day, like I just work, right? And like I'm trying to get as much stuff done every single hour throughout the course of the day. So like to me, that's the difference between, I get calls all the time from people that are like can't get a hold of their loan officer. In some cases, they work at the same company I do, and I look up their production, and they do 2 to 3 loans a month. And I'm like, well, how can you not get a hold of that person, but you can get a hold of me with, first phone call, right? And it's just a matter of like changing your mindset and just doing the work. And it is like, I don't live in an interest rate economy. I don't live in an inventory economy. I live in an actions and activity economy. And I truly mean that. And I live that every single day.
Yeah, the only word I would add to that, he lives in a quality, efficient activity community.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's strategy number two, everybody. Strategy number one is quantity of sales activity, and strategy number two is quality. Like, how can you get more efficient? I promise anybody and everybody that says, you know what, I'm going to raise my quantity by 20%, 30%, 100%, whatever, you will get the reward. And then if you really look at what are some things systemically, like what could I do so that systemically and consistently I deliver a better quality experience to my borrowers? What can I do to deliver a better quality experience and value to my agent partners? Guys, you will win. So someone just asked a question here, Shant. Mike, thank you for the question. How many builder relationships do you have, and how much is builder business part of what you do?
So great question. It's definitely something that I feel like I missed on in the first half of my career, because I just didn't have the relationships and I didn't understand the importance of it. Over the course of the last like 4 to 5 years, we've definitely improved our game. 2024 was our best year ever with regards to that. So I look at them, it's parsing words, but I look at them as like developer relationships, right? So like same thing, right? And where we so everybody's if different parts of the country does it different. Most of the builder relationships that we have, they bring us on as the preferred lender on condo projects, right? So, and that's where like we don't do a lot of single family development, but it's condo projects. Like for example, we just launched a 47 unit condo project that goes live this month. So I'd say we have pretty consistently like just about 10 of them at this point, but they're not just in we don't go direct to the developer. It's always in partnership with the listing agent. So a lot of times listing agents bring us in because they know we do an amazing job on the development and helping the condo project sell out. So I'd say about 10 solid ones, but it's the momentum's gaining because the more and more projects we go on over the course, people starting to go into all these new developments and seeing all our stuff there, and they start asking us about it. So it's definitely something big. I know that the Builder Show is coming up in Vegas here soon. I think it's a massive opportunity, especially because with financing, what I've noticed on the new construction, new development, all that kind of stuff, the financing options are really helping move that side of the business. So if you can really come in and articulate all the different options to help make the project more affordable for someone and increase the buyer pool, you can really set yourself apart and develop some really strong relationships.
Yeah, I love that. So guys, I did an interview last Tuesday with Stephanie Johnston out of Dallas, Texas, who, first of all, incredible story, how she overcame cancer. I think it was last year, did about 70 million in production, and she crossed the 100 million mark this year. And the differentiator for her was adding builders. So literally before 2024, all of her business came from her database in her realtor partners. And she's like, I want to do 100 million. How am I going to do it? And she came up with a strategy for builders. And in a single year, 2024, she added 8 builder relationships. And by the way, she did that using her database because she was able to talk about the types of business that she could bring to a builder. And she did it with her realtor partnerships. So she talks about how she leveraged that and how she went from 0 builder business to 30 million in builder business at 8 different builders. So by the way, check that out, guys. We'll put a link down below. If you're watching this in YouTube, there's a link to that interview. And I just can't recommend enough, guys. There's so many reasons to have a strategy to go after builders. Inventory is an issue. Builders are creating inventory. Uh, Affordability is an issue. Builders are creating strategies to bring in first-time home buyers. So I would just advocate, have a builder strategy. Your past customer database should be your number one priority. Agents are the alpha partner. Have a builder strategy, and then have a very intentional strategy around CPAs, financial planners, and people that I call the wealth team. Any thoughts on that? You have anything you want to add to that, or
Yeah, it's one, you can kind of go into every single year knowing you're going to do a certain amount of business, right? Because like if you have these projects, like it almost kind of it just helps with your mindset going on to the year, knowing that like you've got these projects, you got a captive audience as a seller, and you're going to put some buyers. But in the long term too, right? Like I look at this like this project that we took on in my market. This project going to sell out somewhere. We have 47 units that are going to go live sometime in the next couple of weeks, and say we capture, whatever, say we captured 25% of that building, right? That's 10 new, most likely first-time home buyers that will, become our customers that we'll be able to help as they progress in life when they buy their next house in the suburbs. And then by the way, the other people that we don't capture that don't end up buying in that building, ultimately, they'll stay with us with their, we'll pre-approve them and help them find something else, and we'll make new relationships from it. So it's massively important for the introduction of first-time home buyers, but also for repeat business in the future. And then also like, a lot of times if you're looking at those type of projects, they're going to introduce you to another partner in a project they didn't end up buying on the one that you were preferred lender on. It gives you a new opportunity to go market to somebody new in a new project, new agent, new builder, new developer.
yeah. So we got another great question here from Alan. Who are you calling? Many of my happy past clients have rates in the twos. Any
Yeah.
thoughts for Alan there?
Yeah. So, I mean, so I'm calling, mostly the conversations I'm having are with my real estate agents on a daily basis. That's like the people that I talk to the most because that's the highest and best use in terms of my time because they introduce me to, multiple additional clients. I'm keeping them updated and informed. In terms of my database, if I was to do, three things, if I was a brand new loan officer or even just somebody that's like struggling, trying to figure out how to double their business, I would do three things. I would post on social media. I would do something like a video every single day, talk about real estate, housing, mortgage, and get people to, create like a brand for yourself. Whether you're posting a video every day, posting some sort of like resharing like some cool information about, market dynamics, and then your thoughts, right? Like on things you're seeing. So you can do video, text, and some sort of resharing of like cool data, right? Then I would stretch that content and I would email my database every single day. And I try to, by the way, like I send one form of email to my entire database. It's partnered off into real estate agents or financial planners and then consumers, right? Find something to email them, not like the stock HTML boring stuff that everybody just deletes right away, like your thoughts in terms of like something that of value that can either help them get into the market, help them understand the market better, stuff like that. And then I would just meet with people, right? Like if it's a lot of times I'll talk to somebody and they're doing 2 or 3 loans a month, and there's no way that can take up 40 hours a week of of time. It's impossible, right? So like to me, if I didn't have people to meet with because I was new or whatever, don't have a great network, well, you start with going to where the agents are, right? Going to broker open houses, go to industry events, um, join all the industry groups, whether it's the realtor groups, the mortgage groups, all this kind of, go to where the financial advisors are and have those turn into meetings, right? If you already have a good group of realtors, call them and ask them to introduce them to the people in their offices, have them into your team meetings, their team meetings, I mean. So like that's where I would create my activity from. And if that's uncomfortable for you, like that's okay. But you have to do it, right? Like there's not like those three things. If you just meet with people and go to events where people that, want to sell homes and know people that want to buy homes are really important, post on social media and email your database, I think you'll be great. Now, because my database at this point of my career is pretty big, I have, over 100,000 people in my database. We're constantly by communicating with them, um, proactively. There's always people that want to talk to us. So yeah, people have rates in the twos and threes. Sure. Unfortunately, some of those people are getting divorced, right? So they want to, they not want, some of them have to refinance. The one that wants to stay in the house, the other one needs to move. A lot of people are relocating for work. A lot of people are having babies where they need a, upsize, where they don't fit anymore, and a lot of people need to downsize, right? Or in other like life circumstances, some of those people need to buy investment properties and second homes, right? So like, I think that's a narrative that we create in our head that, oh, everybody's got the rates in the twos and threes, but like people's lives don't stop because their mortgage rate, right? Like their life keeps going on and all those other needs and wants are still going on. So if we're not in communication with them, somebody else is, right? And that paranoia of somebody else talking to my clients, like it's a healthy paranoia, is enough for me to keep them in communication via email, via social media, via text, and via phone, right? So like I would drop that mentality about the twos and threes because their life is still going with or without you, and with that 2% rate, something, just other stuff going on. So if you don't stay in touch with them, you're going to lose that client.
So I'm going to add some old school ideas and some new school ideas. And here's the reality. Millions of people are eligible to move up, and millions of people want to move up for different reasons or move sideways. Take
Yep.
all the equity out of their house and buy down or buy sideways. Like there's never been more equity than there is today in America. And
By the
by
way,
the way, here's a slide that I would advocate. Take a picture of this, add it to your deck. But guys, this is mind bending. Literally for 40 years, this line right here is equity. This is outstanding residential mortgage debt in America. And for 40 years, they pretty much equal. They were the same. And then in 2014, the gap started to widen. In 2020, it was pretty significant. Today, there is 2.5 times more equity in America than there is mortgage debt. And so to Sean's point, people want to move up, people can move up. And so I'm going to share a new school idea. This is from an interview that I did with Patty Newby. Um, you got to show, well, this is from Jeremy Forcier, buy before you sell. So get really good at showing people how they can buy before they sell. Maybe get a credit line, do some type of a bridge loan. Like if you cannot communicate that at a high level, you're not going to be as valuable to your realtors. Also get really good at showing someone who's like, hey, got a 4% or a 3% or a 2%, what moving to a 6 or a 7% looks like. But don't just focus on the monthly payment, show them the net worth over time. Like give a mortgage coach and say, like, yes, look what's happening to your payment, but look at your equity in 7 years. Like show them the payment, and then things like this. If you're doing jumbo loans, and I don't know how many jumbo loans you're doing, Sean,
a
but
lot.
there's a lot of cash buyers out there now, and then there's a lot of people that are just they have enough cash to put a bigger down payment. So if you're not doing this with all your clients that either have a lot of cash, where you show them, you know what if you put lesser down payment and kept some of that money with the financial planner? Like look at this. Hey, you can buy that house, but if you leave that money with the financial planner, look at your net worth in 7 years. So first of all, you're making the realtor look like a hero. Financial advisors dig loan officers. that do a cash versus mortgage analysis, and consumers do too. So this is where I put a push to Alan, anyone else listening, get really good at presenting those strategies. And then one kind of old school idea is, Alan, go through your database, like just spend 20 minutes and identify who are the 20 people that you think at a gut level are most likely to move up. Reach out to your realtors. Who are your 10? Like out of everyone in your database, who are the 10 that are most likely to move up? And then call them, have a conversation, use the words from exactly what to say. I just went through a 2-day exactly what to say certification, so my scripting is on fire. But have good scripts, have good presentations, and don't talk yourself out of keeping in touch with your database. Like big mistake.
Yeah. And, ultimately you have to look at your database as your sales force that's out there working for you. And like every single time their coworker, their friend, their family member says like, "Hey, I'm buying a house," you want your sales force out there being like, "I have a person," right? And then you like the amount of contacts I get from me to introductions I get from my previous clients to me is massive at this point. Like at this point, my database far exceeds my realtor relationships in terms of leads that it feeds me because I'm in constant communication with it and I'm not forgotten about. If you don't stay in touch with those people and all they get from you is like some HTML email every once in a while, like when that person asks, like, "Hey, like, I'm buying a house," you're not getting recommended either. So you have to stay in touch with your database and don't fool yourself into thinking that just because the twos and threes that's like a limiting belief. Stuff's going on. There's plenty of business to be had out there.
Yeah, no doubt. And for the people that just asked for those samples and slides, make a request in my mobile club, Savage Insights. I just put the number 949-799-0837. If you want that, just ask for my slides from today's call with Shant, and I'll
one
put those out today.
one thing I would say that I'm really excited about, the things that I'm most excited about for 2025, and Dave, this is something I know you can help with, but it's like probably the thing I'm like in terms of how I'm going to communicate with my database even better and differently. The amount of ways we can communicate with our database, react. So I talked about proactive. Well, there's a different kind of proactive and reactive, which is through the predictive analytics, right? And all the life events, right? And so that's next level, right? Like, unfortunately, what we've done in the mortgage business, and I'm sure everybody kind of goes through this, we communicated with everybody the same way, right? Like, so like, if I had a first time home buyer, that's like renting right now, they were getting the same emails and communications and marketing that like somebody that was like 65 years old that was getting ready to downsize was getting. Right now, like we know, like, if somebody's getting married or if they're having a baby or if they're relocating for work or they're having their credit run or they list their house, like the predictive analytics out there are amazing. So like if you did miss something, you're not doing a good job communicating. Now there's so much great data out there that you can get that you can utilize that in a way to start reaching out to your clients and texting, emailing, communicating with them, sending social media content to, direct messaging them, all that kind of stuff, so that you can catch them right as they're about to enter the funnel again and become a live client. So, Dave, if you want to talk more through that, I think it's really powerful. That's actually probably like one of my passion projects for this year.
Good. Well, yeah. Hey, well, I'll show you guys the new school way to do that. We have a platform in the market called the Trust Engine platform, but we're actually working on what we're calling Mortgage Coach Next Gen. And so this is what it looks like. So it's an app where we monitor your database for eligibility, who's eligible to buy, sell, and refinance, and who's got a high propensity score. Now at the very top, and then we're like, guys, this is an app, and it's going to show the hottest person in your database. Call this person right now. That's the number one. And then down below, oh, a potential move up buyer. When you click on that, we're giving you some advice. There's a button to email, button to text, button to call. If you scroll down, we've got scripts, what to say if you call, what to say if you text. So again, you can have the right conversation at the right time with someone. And then Sean, this is going to be hitting next quarter or sometime the second half of the year, where a mortgage coach has automatically been created. So like, oh, this is a cash out refinance. This is a move up. Literally, digital assistant, mortgage coach being created. and you'll actually be able to edit it within 30 seconds to a minute in this app and send it. So guys, this is the new school way to do what Shant just said is have the mortgage coach next gen. So by the way, individual LOs, this is not available in our individual platform yet. It's enterprise only. We've got over 25 lenders that have opted into this. If you guys want it, have your executive team reach out to me, Dave at Trust Engine, and I'd be happy to demo it. But I will tell you guys, if you obsess over your database, if you have it monitored for eligibility and propensity, if you take these actions, one, you're going to get more loans. You're going to have more control over your production. And then here's what's even more important. You're going to be more valuable to realtor partners. You're going to be more valuable to financial advisors if you just make your database your number one priority and you take action on all this. Any thoughts, Sean?
I mean, you nailed it. And it also, you know what it does too? If you got all that stuff going on, like you're just always in action, right? Like it eliminates the mind games, right? You're like, there's no ups and downs and ebbs and flows. Like one of the reasons that I've been successful over the course of a very long time is because like every single month, right? Every single week, like I'm busy, right? And so like all these things just help you stay busy, stay in constant communication with your previous clients, create new clients, give you reasons to call real estate agents. And like that activity just creates like a momentum. So it's you just got to kind of like action just creates results. Like that's it. It's and so by utilizing these type of tools, like you're in a lot of ways you're automating the action. Like there's only so much time in a day, and like as hard as I work, if I wasn't utilizing technology to kind of communicate with people, I wouldn't get as much done as I do right now.
So, Sean, I have been doing a keynote around the five biggest opportunities in the market this year. And opportunity number one is move up. And I bring that up as the biggest opportunity because one, it's hard, like to the point of the person. A lot of people have two, threes, and fours. But if you could get really good at being that advisor that can give people clarity and
Yeah,
have them move up, I mean, an agent gets a listing, you're helping a buyer, like it's just a home run. And I have
yeah,
opportunity of number two is first time home buyers, just because there's so many of them. I have opportunity number three, move down because they're just and I think reverse mortgage kind of fits into the move down. I have
yeah,
opportunity number four as debt consol, just because there is so much equity and so much of that. And then I have number five as rate and term refis. And I have that as number five because maybe we'll get it, maybe we
yeah,
won't. Maybe it'll be
yeah.
big, maybe it'll be small. Like we have the least amount of control over that opportunity. Anything I'm missing there from those five when you think of just call it market driven opportunities? Anything come to mind?
I think the only thing, no, I mean, no, really, like, we touched upon the builder side, like that is, that,
That is kind of a different strategy
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
not a
yeah,
it is it is a channel pillar, and I
yeah,
think
it's
financial
no,
advisors are a channel pillar.
yeah, like I find that, with the financial advisors historically in my career, I've just had better success with them in refi markets, right? Like they crush it for me in refinance markets. Like I do some business with them in purchase markets for sure, but like the amount of business that pours into me from financial advisors during refi markets is like massive. Um, it's good in purchase markets, but it's different. The builder piece, I feel like again, I said, that was a great question earlier. I feel like I missed out on that for years, and now I've like really, it creates a captive, like it creates an opportunity where somebody at least needs to speak to you, um, and so it's a captive audience. But no, I feel like you nailed it, Dave. I mean, I kind of try to do all of that stuff, right? Like it's, I don't just pick and choose. Like, hey, um, I'm going to go after all that stuff. Like the one thing I haven't yet been able to like go out and actually win at like decisively is been cash out refis, right? Like I crush rate and term refinances whenever the market allows it to happen because I'm doing a great job talking to my previous clients, and as a result, the amount of activity that we're able to do, it results in more referrals in that world as well. Every first time home buyers we do a great job with. Move up buyers, we do a really awesome job. That's probably my like first time home buyers and move up buyers. It's like those are my bread and butter. Um, but I was like determined last year to kind of get the cash out refinance game going, and I just haven't figured out a way to really drive that business in mass. Which obviously we do some of it, but like I wasn't able to nail it. So that's something that's I'll nail eventually.
Well, you're killing it. You are an inspiration to many guys. We're getting ready to go into the fourth quarter. Make sure you put your
Cool.
questions down below. Do want to make sure everybody knows that the Modern Mortgage Summit has been announced last week, and we started promoting that. I will be moderating that again. It is a virtual event, so there'll be, God, we've sold over 10,000 tickets to that event before. It is March 6th. The first half of the day is mortgage professionals. And then the second half of the day are realtors. We've got Ken DeLeon, the number one buyer agent in America, multi-billion-dollar mortgage professional, our real estate advisor on this. But make sure you get your ticket. There is a live element. There's about 60 people that can fit into the live. I think we've sold about a dozen tickets to that so far. So Modern Mortgage Summit has been announced, and sign up, get your tickets. Uh, so we're in this fourth quarter of the call, Sean. First of
Yeah.
all, are there any other, like, my take on what your strategy is? Talk to a lot of people, do a lot of one-to-many educational experiences, whether that's masterminds, lunch and learns, in your office. And by the way, there's a Shant Banosian playlist. So if you want to hear Shant go into detail on that, he's gone into detail on that. He is a one-to-many monster,
Yeah.
and driving a lot of systems. Are there any other new strategies, things that you haven't shared before that you're executing this year? Anything else that's cornerstone to your success for 2025?
Yeah. No, I mean, the what's turned into a cornerstone is our Accelerate event, right? So, we just held an event 2 weeks ago where we had over 1,300 real estate agents attend. Um, we had three amazing speakers. Phil Jones from Exactly What to Say was our keynote. But here's the thing, like that started out, I held the first event 3 years ago and I had 500 people, right? And then it turned into like about 1,000 last year, and this year was over 1,300. It's sold out every single year. It's amazing. It's like a way to kick off, and it just separates me. But like that didn't just happen, right? Like, we started doing with 5-person events and 10-person events and 20 and like all these type of things. So it just shows, like, to me, the biggest takeaway from it is you shouldn't walk away from this being like, hey, I need to do a 1,300-person event. It's our partners are starving for information. They want to be educated. They want to be informed. They want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. And they will take the time if you can do that for them. Now, it's not just a matter of, well, if you're like, well, I don't know where to start. Well, you just start somewhere, right? Like we've modified how we do things over the course of time, and we modify every year. Like we change with the market. But part of it is you have to like really get yourself educated. Like, and if you don't know where to start, I'd start with like Dave's YouTube channel, right? And like go through all the different places. There's, hours and hours and hours of content where you can go out and educate people and inspire and figure out who's out there. I actually met our keynote speaker because of Dave, because I said yes to an event, and we grabbed a dinner. So like you just never know what will lead to something else. But that's so yeah. I mean, bottom line, my playbook is all the stuff we've talked about. I kick it off with Accelerate. It turns into spring market updates. Then we do masterminds. We sprinkle in classes and educational stuff at our office throughout the course of the year, and then that leads to one-on-ones, and it just leads into lots of activity while we're doing that. We're emailing, we're posting on social media, we're texting at mass, we're calling at mass, and it just results in more business. And we try to do a really amazing job. I mean, I think my brand is we're available and accessible all the time to our partners and our clients. We make sure our clients are prepared and empowered for sure. We help with speed. Like speed's our thing in terms of like execution, speed to everything, speed to close, speed to respond. Speed like it's speed without sacrificing execution. Going above and beyond like just the level of service. Like think about like what you get when the best place you can think of, whether you go to like a Four Seasons or like some place that just makes you feel special, that's just a little bit different than everywhere else. Like that above and beyond approach, like to every single client and realtor communication, we try to do that as well. And then like just in this market, because affordability is a challenge, because it's hard to get an offer accepted because there's so much competition out there. Uh, the amount of certainty and confidence that we put in our partners and our clients is also super important. So like those are the things that we kind of like is my brand, right? Is my or and that's kind of like all our value propositions kind of come out of those kind of touch points I just talked about. So like you just have to figure out what's authentic to you. But this, I got to be honest with you, this year, like I'm just going to follow the same exact playbook I followed last year because it's going to be a very, very similar market. When the refinances, like to me, it's not like a big change year, right? It's like I nailed it last year. I'm just going to do more of everything this year. And then when the refinances start to hit, I'm going to grab onto those things and crush that. Like I did last year in July and August, like there was a little opportunity where rates really dipped. We put in over $100 million of refinances in 2 months, right? Like while we maintained a really great job on the purchase side. So this year's playbook is like some seasons are drastically different. I feel like, sometimes, you can figure out from the past what's going to work in the future. And like, we've got a winning model. So we're just going to keep doing our repeat. And obviously we'll make some mistakes and figure that out and implement change. And then we're just going to keep repeating what works. Most of the people on this call knows what it takes to win, right? It's actually pretty simple. Like all the stuff I've talked about today is pretty simple. It's just not easy, right? The execution is in your discipline, your commitment, and your consistency. So it's simple. It's just not easy. It's just a matter of like how much you want it.
Yeah, I love every time we have these conversations, I get so fired up, Shant. Um, if there was one book, you're going to have thousands of people that either watch this or indirectly get impacted from today's podcast. If there was one book in this season of the mortgage industry that people should read, could be something that you read 10 years ago, or it could be something you
Yeah.
read recently, but you're like, this is the book recommendation for Jan or February of 2025. What is it, Sean?
So I'm going to say it anyways because I've said it on your show before, and I think you sent it out to your audience before. But I'm just rereading it right now. Actually, I try to reread it every single year. The Gap and the Gain, I love. It's like I know we've talked about that before. A new book that I just read this year that I just wrapped up was Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Very great book. I wish I had read it earlier in my life. Because it just talks about doing the things that are essential. Every single day, every single week, every single year to you, both personally and professionally, and really just identifying those things and don't get caught up in all the noise. I think so many people try to do so many different things and don't end up doing anything, and then they end up spending their energy on all these other things and don't have enough energy to do the most important things, both personally and professionally. So that book really hit home. I read a lot, and I'm always reading like 4 to 5 books at a time. My ADD kicks in, and so I very rarely take one from start to finish, but I usually will do a couple a month, just a little bit at a time as stuff gets my attention. But those two just jump out at me right now because I'm wrapping them both up.
Love it. Well, The Gap in the Gain was my book of the year in 2023. When I interviewed Sean, it was probably January, February, March, April-ish. No, it was May. It was May of 23. And Sean said, I have already talked to more realtors this year. Again, we're talking May, than any
Yeah,
year in my career. And one of the things he was talking about was mindset because it was a
yeah,
shifting market. And he introduced that book, The Gap in the Gain. And so he was elevating agents' mindset. And because he did that in 2023, 2024, $1 billion year, gained even more market share, guys. So there's a lot of wisdom to be learned by that. So in these last 10 minutes, I think
yeah,
we've given ideas, we've given tactics, we've given strategy. Let's 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 unpack some core beliefs that you have. You and I have talked about what I call my code. I have these beliefs that I have that make me who I am. And I know you have a code. What are some of and I'm sure there's 30, 40 parts of your code, but what are a
yeah.
couple key concepts that you have that make you who you are that would also be valuable for the audience to hear?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. First, I think I there's four key ones that I always just repeat in my brain, and we've talked about these before, but I don't know if anybody watched the show in the past. So, sticking to the basics, right? Like, I think that's really important to me. As I've done, there's so many the basics are the basics because they work, right? And like I've seen so many people come in and out of this business, come in, do great, take all the advice from their mentors, their coaches, follow all the process and systems, have success, and then 5 years from now they're nowhere to be found because their ego got in the way, they got quote unquote too busy, they started cutting corners, and um, they got off track and weren't unable to get on track again. I talk to so many people and they just assume when they talk to me, they're like, oh, you must not talk to clients, or you must not make calls or send emails. Or you must, like, people assume I do nothing all day, right? Like it just falls mortgages into my lap, right? And it's like I'm actually still very much doing the basics, right? Like I have a core things that I track, core activities I need to do on a weekly basis. Myself and my team hold each other accountable to them, and so always understand what your basics are. If you don't know what they are, if you don't know what a perfect day of execution looks like, uh, I'd walk away from today and try to drop the perfect day and perfect week of execution and be realistic with it and see if you can accomplish it. Like try, today's Tuesday, right? Like you have 3 days to come up with the perfect day and week of execution and start on Monday, right? And then try to do that 2 weeks in a row and 3 weeks in a row and 4 weeks in a row. You'll see really like how much things change. Um, Focus on what you can control, like control the controllables is another one. So like, what's funny is yesterday we got the news about the CFPB, right? About like what's going on there. The amount of texts and calls I got, last night and even into this morning asking me about the CFPB was like kind of wild. Like, my answer was don't care. Like literally don't care. Because it doesn't impact how I'm going to operate my business today, tomorrow, like literally like it doesn't change the activities and actions that I need to accomplish now. Like that stuff that's going to happen is like whatever's going to happen, like I can't control it. If it does impact my world, I'll figure out a way, and then um I'll like navigate it, right? If things change, I'll be notified when they change, and then I'll change based on that, right? Like, I mean, we were talking, so like that's really important. Like you can control your vision, your mindset, your systems, your processes, your activities, your actions, but you can't control interest rates, the economy, inventory, the CFPB. We couldn't control the NAR settlement lawsuit last year. What you can do is you can know what's going on, so you can change your approach to, like, I use the NAR settlement as a massive way to get into in front of real estate agents and educate them, right? But like I didn't sit up wondering like whether a buyer agent or a seller agent, like how that was going to impact my world. I just went into action, right? And like what happened? Like almost nothing changed except everybody just had to get a little bit better in terms of communication, articulating our value proposition. It actually made us more important, which was great, right? But I didn't stop and do nothing while I was trying to figure that out. Um, you know, Outvalue your competition, right? So like, you know, our business has been trying to commoditize us since the day I got into the business, and it will continue forever. The first question every single client asks me is, "What's my rate?" Via email, text, and call. Right? That's never going to stop. The first, you meet with a realtor, and they're like, they don't know what else to ask you. So tell me about your rates and products, right? And like, so you can be commoditized if you just become very transactional. Like the industry will commoditize you. You will be commoditized, and it will be a race to the bottom. Or you can be differentiated, right? You can really kind of have a value proposition that makes everybody think and act differently towards you. It makes you more referable. It helps you convert at a higher level. So figure out a way to know what your value proposition is, make it authentic to you, and go out and communicate it and market it and brand it. Just remember, you're a brander and a marketer first, and you're somebody that's going to enroll people into your business, right? Like that's your job. You're a rainmaker, right? And so if you can go out and really market yourself and brand yourself and utilize that to build new relationships and foster great relationships and communicate, super important. And then the last part is, your mindset is everything. Your mindset and your perspective. And so I really try to do a good job of doing all the things that I can do to take care of myself, whether it's personally, professionally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I'm so much different than I used to be in terms of like, I'm always trying to listen to good content whenever I can. If I'm at my kid's hockey game and I'm off to the side by myself and like I can like, don't feel like talking to the other parents, I'll throw my headset in, be off my own, be zoned in on the game, but like listening to great stuff. If I'm in the car, instead of like, if I'm not on the phone, I'm listening to good content. It's really cool. Like the amount of people you can get access to just by listening, like world-class people, just by throwing in a podcast and listening to whether it's like, you know, all the different like amazing people you throw on, you get them for an hour and a half unfiltered. Like you can get access to like any coach or mentor. It's amazing. You know, my health, again, physically and mentally, like just taking care of myself so that I can have all the energy I need so that I don't have off days. Like if you're off your game and you come in tired and sluggish and not motivated, right? That impacts your business, right? So like I'm trying to do everything I can to, make sure I get the right sleep, stay hydrated, feel great. Like I feel better at 44 years old today than I felt at 40 or I felt at 35, like way better, right? And people always ask me, how are you able to keep going, and how are you able to keep sprinting? It's because I feel good, right? Because I'm taking care of myself in all those different kinds of ways. And that helps you stay positive. It's not like, so many people like, hey, Dave, be positive. Okay. It's not like one of those things that like everybody can say it, but it's like not that easy. Like you have to put the work in to kind of work on your mindset, to work on your energy. And then, you have to surround yourself with the right people, and you have to eliminate the people and the things that don't help you. Right. And those can be tough things to do. But like at some point, as you grow up, it becomes easier. And some people, unfortunately, don't do those things and they get weighed down by that. And some people do and they get lifted up. So if I was to like my core things, uh, you know, I kind of like, I'm not trying to reinvent myself. Like if I stick to those four things, the reinventing will happen within those four core principles of me every single year, because I'll be learning, I'll be um, adapting, I'll be working really hard, and I'll be focused on what the next thing is that's going to help me move my business forward, not distracted by all the noise, which there's more
Right.
noise than ever.
Yeah, and you'll always be optimizing. So, guys, mindset is everything, according to Shant Banosian, and it is. Outvalue your competition. Guys, you are in this mortgage coach community. You have the tools, you have the technology to truly be more valuable. Of course, you got to execute. Control the controllables. I mean, this gets into, I mean, this is something we all need to remind ourselves daily. We're human beings. We can get sucked down that trap. And then when you do have basics, like this is what always distinguishes the best from the rest, is when you have a perfect loan process and you have a perfect real estate experience. Those are your basics, and they implement and execute consistently. And obviously, Shant has brought great people into his company, and he has mentored them. He has taught them. He does regular training. Like if you listen to my first interview with Shant, I was shocked to learn that he literally does training 4 days a week. That's part of the magic. So I hope you got a lot of value from today, guys. Give a reaction down below. Let us know what you thought of today's call. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of hearts. You knocked it out of the park, my brother.
Thanks.
Appreciate you making time to come into this community. Please give this a like. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe today. If you are a manager or a leader, guys, lead by example. Like share today's call with your team. And if you're on a team or you're a loan officer, share this with a mortgage friend or the leadership of your company. Let's get this Shant Banosian magic out there in the world. Brother, thank you.
Thanks, man. Always
Take
a
care,
pleasure.
everybody.
This was
Hope
fun.
everybody got a lot of value today. Cheers.